This is Adam King from Aliens Don't Ring Doorbells, and you're listening to Madness to Creation.
Go ahead, say it.
Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast. This is Maddie. How you doing? I hope you guys are having an enjoyable weekend and everything like that. And this podcast is done in more of an interview format. We talked to Tim Smith of the Lickerish Quartet. You probably have heard Tim Smith as a songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist who has performed on the bass guitar with the who's who of the today's entertainment and entertainment back then, such as Sheryl Crow, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, Stevie Nicks, Kid Rock, Levon Helm, and many others. And also, he makes his own music as one half of a duo called the Uma Jets. And on January 8th, the Lickerish Quartet, which is composed of Tim Smith, Eric Dover, and Roger Joseph Manning Jr., have released their record entitled Threesome Volume 2, which includes jams such as Do You Feel Better, Sovereignty Blues, The Dream That Took Me Over, and my favorite track on the record is Snollygoster Goon. What I love about this record is that it takes you back to not only the days of Jellyfish, but it also takes you back to 70s AM radio where it has a little bit of psychedelic vibe and just a little bit of that soft rock, yacht rock type of vibe to it. And it just is feel-good music, and you can tell the three, Tim, Roger, and Eric, are just extraordinary musicians. We get into a mental health conversation as well, coping with the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the creation of this record. And it was so much fun just picking Tim's brain. And Madness Creation is working on getting a sponsorship and is also looking for sponsors for this podcast. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please email us at madnesstocreation@gmail.com. And also, please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. And also follow Madness to Creation on Facebook at Madness to Creation, along with Instagram and TikTok at Madness Creation, also on Twitter at MTC Madness. Without further delay, here is the conversation with Tim Smith of the Lickerish Quartet. Take it away, Tim.
I'm just taking care of business.
Nice. What kind of business do you take care of today?
Just some stuff for our fan club stuff, and getting some experience things together that we do for folks, where we chat with them or we do sessions for them.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me, like, how has the session work been going, and how have you guys adjusted with the COVID-19 pandemic and all that?
Well, it's actually afforded us an ability to do more session work remotely, so that's actually been okay. It's allowed me personally to get my recording skills a bit better, so that's great. And since we started doing these experience things, it's just been easier to knock them out. We can all kind of get our little list of things. If I've got to go record a bass part or whatever, Roger and Eric can do their things. So it's worked out fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what is something like in your session work and stuff like that, or like whether it's the work that you're doing that you try to teach people with in your bass work?
Well, you mean when I do a lesson or something? Yeah,
like a lesson, or like in your session work or whatever that is. What's something that you feel you bring to the table?
I just try and, if it's playing on somebody's song, I just listen to the song and kind of give what my impression is it would be the best performance for that, usually with some sonic sounding kind of approach that's appropriate, or maybe super inappropriate as an option. It's whatever my opinion is about that is obviously just my opinion, but I think people have related to what we do as a band and kind of hire us for that approach.
Definitely. And you've been featured in you've played with and been featured in a lot of projects, like whether it's with Noel Gallagher or with Sheryl Crow. What's it like working with them, and what are some cool memories that you have with them?
Yeah, I was with Sheryl Crow for about 14 years. Toured with her all over the world. Did a lot of recording and stuff. That was probably my first example of, playing with an artist that had success, that we could travel really well and stay in super nice hotels and stuff. It's a little different world from the Jellyfish scene I had been in previous to that. She was a very nice woman, super accommodating, because her past, before her own career, she had been a touring session and side musician. So she kind of took care of musicians that she had working with her. So that was a really fun experience. Noel was a little bit different in that he, was trying to do his solo career when I first joined him. And I think he was not struggling with, but certainly dealing with the differences in being a solo artist versus being an Oasis. So it was a little uncharted territory for him. Probably felt like it was a step down in the way that in the places we were playing to begin with. And he was used to playing arenas or stadiums and stuff, and we were just playing theaters, which to me was great. All of it was great. But for him, I think he was trying to prove himself, and I was just happy to be a part of that for about 5 years and play his songs. Great song.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, and I was going to say, you released an album called Threesome Volume 2, which is it's a sonic masterpiece, I would say. Like, I love how you guys incorporated all the sounds and stuff like that into your music. And what was the most challenging, rewarding aspect in creating Threesome Volume 2 versus Threesome Volume 1?
Actually, it's probably just due to COVID. We had, previous to COVID, had been getting together in Los Angeles. I would fly out every now and then, and we'd work on the songs. But when that wasn't allowed to happen anymore, we had to pursue finishing Threesome Volume 2 remotely. So a lot of the vocals and things we were doing at our own houses, and then we have to kind of send them to everybody and get everybody's opinions on how that was working. So that made it a bit of a hard struggle, but like I said, it made it easier once we all figured out how to use our systems and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to kind of cover probably my favorite song on that record. And actually, it's really hard to pick, but I would say probably Sovereignty Blues. I really enjoy it feels almost like an AM radio vibe from back in the 70s in a way, like back in, like I'm picturing people like the itsy bitsy teeny wee yellow polka dot bikinis kind of like feel to it. And just take us into that song. And I just absolutely love it. It's just such a groove-tastic song. So what is like some of your favorite moments in that song?
Well, I think part of it for me was I liked coming up with the guitar part. I was always a huge fan of the band XTC, and I liked the way their guitars sounded. So I think there was a little bit of a thought towards doing something like that. It's sort of an anthem and an anti-anthem at the same time. It's basically just saying, turn everything off and just be happy in your own skin for a minute and recenter yourself. So it's not political in the sense of taking sides in current politics. It's more about remembering who you are. So that was a good, refreshing thing to take on these days.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, not the politics stuff, because I'm trying to stay away from that, but how has COVID and everything like that impacted your mental health? We cover mental health awareness and madness creation too. How has that impacted like your mental health, like having to be in quarantine, being in lockdown, not being able to be with your bandmates except virtually, stuff like that?
I think it'd be different if I couldn't be with my family or my wife, but I miss the guys and stuff. I personally, mental health has been super important to me. I've struggled with depression in the past, but I think I've got a lot of helpful things to help me, whether it's meditation or focused thinking. And also, being a musician, this is sort of my life anyway. When I'm not on the road, I'm in my studio by myself. So it's not too different, but at the same time, I know what you're saying. I think having a supportive family and people in my life that are willing to support what we all needed to do, which is wearing masks and socially distancing, has been helpful. I know other people that have family members that aren't of the same mindset, and that causes as much, if not more, struggle for them.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it just kind of makes you wish people would just buckle down and all that. And what is are you guys going to do like any live? I'm a teacher by day, so sorry about the school bell.
Okay.
So,
right.
what are some things? What are some things you're going to do to have like? Are you guys going to do like live streams or anything like that?
We'd like to, but unfortunately, it's hard to do live streams where we're in 3 different places because the technology's not great for playing together.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably do some live streaming where we'll all be on, but we're going to maybe break down the tracks in the studio where Roger will be somewhere with our engineer and be able to talk about it, and then we'll talk that way, but we won't be able to really perform together at the moment.
Okay, I was just kind of curious if the band was planning on like some type of live stream, because I know like Journey did they did something for UNICEF and they had all the band members perform separately. So I was kind of wondering if that was something you guys would be keen on doing, or.
Well, we did that a little bit with a video for a song off the first EP, There's a Magic Number, that we did acoustically, and we all just played our parts and then we just put them together. But yeah, we'd consider doing more of that kind of a thing. That'd be great.
Awesome. And what's the first thing you want to do when this pandemic is over?
Ooh, go to a really nice restaurant, sit inside and order a nice cocktail from a bartender and talk about that.
Yeah. What kind of cocktail can we get you?
Oh man, something very strong.
Yeah, I was going to say
probably a martini, but
at this point, I think we all need something strong right now. I mean, given the pandemic, social unrest, and all that stuff, and that's one thing I've really appreciated about the Lickerish Quartet is your music is an escape from all the problems of the world and stuff like that. So, just kind of a few more questions I had for you. This just kind of relate to mental health and stuff like that. Then we'll wrap it back to your album. What is the soundtrack to your life? And whether it's a band, song, or an album, and why?
Wow.
Yeah, and why would you pick that?
Gosh, you should have sent me that ahead of time, man. I got to think about that. Soundtrack to my life. Probably something to do with FM radio when I was growing up.
Nice.
Particularly college radio. I think I've always lived by this idea that there's always something new to find, and it's hopeful music. And I think that's sort of what is drawing us as a group, is that because, it's hard these days. People don't really pay for music per se. They stream it or whatever, and that's great. But it's been a rough thing to the music industry in the last 5 to 10 years to try and make a living the way that we did previous to that. So I think my soundtrack is to just figure out a way to stay positive and creative. I think even in this COVID times and us not being able to tour or do whatever, just trying to write songs and be more engaged as a creative artist has been the soundtrack for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with you 100%. And that's why music is such an awesome escape. And this is kind of more of a mental health question. If you have a right to pass and stuff like that, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
Okay.
Tell us about a time that was really difficult for you, and what did you do to rise above?
Well, I can talk about it because I've talked about it in the press before, but I think it was about 2012 or so. I'd been playing with Noel Gallagher for about a year and a half. We had a break, and I was going to go tour with Sarah McLachlan in a summer or whatever, and she wanted me to maybe play upright bass as well as electric bass. And I didn't really play upright bass, so I bought one and I brought it home, and I was practicing every day and learning all of her songs and stuff. Well, in the process of practicing 8 hours a day, I hurt my hands. I don't know if you know what carpal tunnel syndrome, but I had something that's called cubital tunnel, which is in your elbows.
Ooh.
So for a time, both of my hands were just completely numb, and I couldn't play bass. And I started this tour with Sarah, and we started rehearsals, and I was struggling, and I was having panic attacks about it. And I actually had to leave the tour. I did 3 shows with her, and I just, on doctor's orders, was told, you just need to stop playing. I'd overcompensated by all this upright playing that I'd never done before. So I kind of thought my career could be in pretty bad jeopardy. But I have to say, if I just listened to the doctors and relaxed, and it all ended up being fine, by the way, but I think I do what people tend to do, which is go turn on Dr. Google, and suddenly I'm discovering that possibly I have every horrible disease in the world, and was worried about it and got tested by that. But it really affected me mentally, and I had to go down some deep soul searching, and I actually spent some time in cognitive behavioral therapy, which was super helpful for me to be able to look at, what's really happening versus what am I thinking is happening, and that destructive kind of tape loop.
Oh,
thing.
sure.
And so that really taught me enough for my brain to kind of settle down and use the techniques of being able to sort of look at what's in front of you and meditate on that and go, well, is this really happening, or is this just you thinking something bad's happening? And all those techniques really helped me, and I still use them today.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that story, and I'm glad that you use a cognitive behavioral therapy to help you rise above and all that. And this is just kind of a dumb question because I am not a doctor. Did you have to get surgery?
No, I mean, that was on the table. It was talked about, but I was told that if I had stopped the tour when I did, that it would probably, and it took about 6 months for it to all come back.
Wow.
And I still have to do certain kind of exercises. It's all about being a musician. You're playing like this, and all this hunches over. So you put pressure on the nerves here. And then when you're playing upright bass, it's different than playing electric bass. And I found out there's a whole series of people that have this it's a repetitive stress injury, but specifically to bass players who go between electric bass, where you're playing like this and your hands are all like this and your elbows like this, to upright bass where you're switching it. And that double crunch, as they say, is what was happening to me. So it was a medical thing, but it was affecting my mental health as well.
Wow. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things like you need that in order to do your job. And when that kind of takes away your foundation a little bit, and just a question I have, let's say somebody's listening or somebody's reading this, and they need that pick me up, to kind of get through, life circumstances. What message do you have?
It's going to be okay. Catastrophic thinking doesn't get you anywhere. Just take a deep breath. Be super thankful for small things, even if it's just the fact that it's a sunny day, or your parents are alive, or a friend of yours who you care about made you smile. Just focus on little things when you're down. And most importantly, when you're down about yourself, try and find something you can do for somebody else. That will lift you out of things, I think, faster than anything.
Definitely. And I appreciate that message. What are you most proud of with the Lickerish Quartet?
I think I'm most proud of the fact that the three of us, given our ages now, we're able to sort of find each other again and come together, not to be Jellyfish, but in the spirit of the fact that we had been in a group of people at a certain time, connecting musically still and being creative and pushing each other to do things that we probably wouldn't have done on our own. I think that's, again, it's all about being open and honest about yourself and your creativity, and being willing to just share that with somebody else.
Definitely. And what would you like to add? I know we've covered some ground here. What would you like to add in regards to Threesome Volume 2, or anything in regards to Tim Smith, where people can find you guys and stuff like that?
Sure. Well, you can find out all about us at the lickerishquartet.com, where you can either purchase music or find out where merchandise. We've got some fun things, and find out more about our experiences, where we can do things like have video chats or master classes, or you can buy like the stems to our recordings, or we can do sessions for you or co-write songs with you. A whole bunch of different ways to get in touch with us through that. And just thank everybody that has been listening, and I hope you like Threesome Volume 2, and look out for Threesome Volume 3, hopefully this year.
Awesome. And I want to encourage my listeners and readers to give the Lickerish Quartet some streams and listen to Threesome Volume 2. It's a great escape from the problems of today's world. So, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So, Tim, I want to thank you so much for the music that you create, and thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me for Madness Creation.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So, whatever else you need, we got you. Okay.
Okay. Well, let me know.